Big managerial news here in New York. Joe Girardi becomes a manager of the Philadelphia Phillies and not for the New York Mets. I blame Joe Girardi. First of all, you go into your second interview with crazy demands. One, you want to be paid in American dollars with the Wilpons? All right, get a grip, man. Two, you want control over making your own lineup, over control over in-game strategy, and then roster formation? Dude, we have Brodie Van Wagenen, former super agent, all right? You fall in line with him. He makes the rules. You just become a good soldier, not this crybaby on MLB Network crying over your relationship with CC Sabathia. You just fall in line, all right? There's no half-full glass. Flew it to the top with Brodie. But the other problem is, as a Met fan, you have to understand, fans, you're never going to get your way. The Mets win despite Mets ownership, not because of it. And when you understand that, things will look up. But the real reason that they're not going to win the managerial competition is because Brodie and Jeff Wilpon are joined at the hip. They're going to be connected forever. It's their ship, right? If you don't fall in line, you're the second mate. You're not close to being captain. Those two are the captain. Decisions get made by them. And you'll see when the Mets win 2 games in a row, Brodie's all over Twitter, Brodie's all over Facebook, whatever social media he uses. He wants to be the face of the franchise. Jeff is one of those guys that basically feed into Brodie Van Wagenen. I kind of related to the Johnson brothers with the New York Jets. When Rex Ryan came, there was also always rumors about him being the alter ego of ownership. Basically, those guys being the background nerds, while Rex Ryan goes out there and while these guys might have been bullied at school, he was the bully. While Jeff Wilpon was just living off his dad's money and not the cool guy at school, Brodie was the cool guy, was the guy getting the girls, the guy playing sports. And he wants Brodie to be the face. So Jeff can stay in the background and Brodie takes, he doesn't really take the heat because he hides when the Mets are doing horrible, but he comes out when they start to do well. So what I think is going to happen is they're going to get a guy that they can control is one thing, which is very important to them. Two, the Mets don't have the money to spend on a high-end manager. As you saw, Joe Madden signed a deal that pays him $4 million a year for 3 years with the Angels. They weren't going in that ballpark. So I don't know what Girardi ends up making, but they were never playing in that field. So they're going to hire a guy like Tim Bogar, maybe Carlos Beltran, Eduardo Perez, along that line. I'd be surprised about A-Rod, but knowing the Mets, the bar that I set is very low. They're going to screw up this hire, right? But you got to hope that, just like the ownership is horrible, the organization is horrible. But you got to hope that the talent outweighs the ineptness of the organization and the ineptness of ownership and the lack of monetary help that they can provide. Look, here's the truth about the Wilpons. They thought they were making 18% of Bernie Madoff, and they used to spend, and they thought that they were spending based on the return they were getting. They weren't. I don't know if anyone was getting that kind of return in that market, but they are basically now in debt all over the place. They borrowed against MLB. They borrowed against SNY with lenders. So their monthly payments or their quarterly payments are ridiculous. So that's why their payroll won't go higher than a certain expected amount. So they rely on payroll attendance and ratings and advertisement and that kind of thing to supplement their payroll and their financial obligations. So here's my thing with them. They're going to hire a guy that they can control, that's going to be cost controllable, because that money, let's say you spend $3 million there, you're going to miss out on a $3 million fifth starter or a utility guy that they can pay. That's how they're going to structure it. So don't expect flashy signings this offseason. Don't expect a big managerial hire. So set the bar low, Mets fans. Always know that ownership is always going to screw things up, but you hope that the talent that they have on the field with Alonso and DeGrom and Syndergaard outweighs their ineptness.